The Legend of Zelda, one of gaming's most iconic franchises, having been around for multiple decades. Everything from the very first game, simply titled The Legend of Zelda, released in 1986, all the way up to Echoes of Wisdom, released last year in 2024. Each game usually follows an incarnation of the hero, Link. Whether skyward bound, adrift in time, or steeped in the glowing embers of Twilight, Link is always there to defeat evil and save the kingdom. But what if he wasn't alone? Now don't get me wrong, Link is no stranger to allies, the King of Red Lions, the Sages, etc. But what if Link was joined by another chosen hero? What if he was joined by the Keyblades chosen? What if The Legend of Zelda was in Kingdom Hearts? The two series share a lot of similarities and are very often compared to one another by fans. A legendary weapon of light chooses an otherwise unassuming child to travel the world and slay a dark-skinned, golden-eyed man. Am I cherry-picking? Sure, maybe a bit, but the point still remains. Even the designs share the same origin. They're based on Disney characters. Sora's original design is based on good old Mickey Mouse's classic clothes, large yellow shoes, white gloves, black and red color scheme. Meanwhile, our boy Link, before his Breath of the Wild wardrobe change, was designed to look like Disney's very own Peter Pan. And once you see it, you can't really unsee it, especially in Ocarina of Time. The pointed ears, the green tunic, the fairy companion, the musical woodwind instrument, even the Lost Boys and the Kokiri are a group of children that don't age. But getting back on topic, what would a crossover between these two look like? For this video, we'll be focusing on a hypothetical Zelda world during the events of Kingdom Hearts 3. As explained in my previous video, a game where Sora visits other gaming franchises would likely be its own entire game, rather than just a world snuck into KH3. However, given that I'm not designing an entire new game and story for this video, we will be under the assumption that this is taking place during the events of the third game. The Zelda series is so vast that it's hard to narrow down a specific game world where Sora and the gang would explore. In saying that, I do have 3 game world pitches to explore today, but they may not be the games that you were expecting. Want to see these videos early, behind the scenes footage of my animations, and get exclusive renders? Then check out the Patreon linked on my channel or in the description so I can continue bringing you content like this. Before we jump into the games I think would work best for a Kingdom Hearts world, I think I have to mention some of the more popular games that won't be on this list. Those being Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild. Okay, but hold on, put those pitchforks and torches away. In a perfect world, I think these would be awesome to see, but they both have a major problem preventing them from fitting into a Kingdom Hearts game. Breath of the Wild is just way too big to implement into a small, explorable Kingdom Hearts world. Not to mention that Link doesn't speak on screen, meaning he would have no dialogue with the main cast since he doesn't have a companion. As for Ocarina of Time, the only way I could see the game working would be if we helped young Link collect the spiritual stones and retrieve the Master Sword. However, I really feel like this would be an anticlimactic finish to the world. Link would retrieve the Master Sword and then be whisked away into the Sacred Realm, leaving Sora, Donald and Goofy to just sort of leave, I guess? I highly doubt there'd be enough dev time to have the game take place in the future after Link has already retrieved the Master Sword, given how many dungeons there are. So young Link is the best that we could do. But with the way it would have to conclude, it just wouldn't be a satisfying world. So for those reasons, I've also ruled out Ocarina of Time, despite its immense popularity and figurehead status. The last lot of games I'll be mentioning is the 2D and 2.5D games. I just don't think they would translate as well to the Kingdom Hearts 3D style world, nor do I think they would do the original games justice. Along with the previous reasons I provided for the games being too vast in scope, lack of a companion, or visiting too many regions. Perhaps some of these games could work as minigame worlds, but that's a separate discussion. So with all of that mentioned, let's get into my 3 chosen games that I could see making up a Kingdom Hearts world. The very first game we have today is the fan favourite Twilight Princess. To give a very quick rundown on the plot, the Kingdom of Hyrule is taken over by the forces of Twilight. Link, a local farm boy, finds himself transformed into the form of a wolf, captured and then thrown in a prison by the Shadow Beasts, corrupted forms of beings known as Twilight. In prison, he joins forces with Midna, a mischievous imp who assists in his escape. Together, they travel the land of Hyrule, awakening spirits, retrieving the legendary Master Sword, and eventually culminating in their final fight against Ganondorf, the Gerudo King of Evil. Midna, who is revealed during the journey to be the true Twilight Princess of the Twilight race, bids farewell to Link, shattering the Mirror of Twilight, the only known form of travel between their realms. There were a few notable aspects about this game that immediately caught my attention as to why it could be a good fit for Kingdom Hearts. The first, rather obviously, is the similarity between the Twilight Beasts and the Heartless. Just look at them. Monstrous black or dark grey creatures with a glowing red symbol. It almost doesn't even need to be explained how these creatures would form and combine with Heartless, bringing forth a new form of darkness for our heroes to face. The second point of interest was that Link has a prevalent companion alongside him, Midna. Given that Link is mute, we need a companion to interact with Sora and friends in order to progress the story. I think Midna's personality would be perfect for such a companion. I also think it'd be really interesting to potentially see Twilight forms of Sora, Donald, and Goofy. It could make for a fun and engaging world mechanic, mirroring of course the Wolf Link mechanic from the original game. Moving on to our Organization 13 member, for this world I would personally love to see Larxene go back and forth with Midna. They both just have that arrogance about them that would be really fun to see interact on screen. Larxene also loves to make fun of Sora and the gang, so if they did have a Twilight transformation, then the writing for the scene practically writes itself.
Oh, look at this tough guy, such a big boy now.
The other potential member I think would work quite well for the world would be Ansem, Seeker of Darkness. Ansem could reflect similarly to the villain Zant, having usurped their predecessor with the power of darkness, in Ansem's case, even taking on his former master's name. As for the organization being there in the first place, I think it'd make sense that they're still finding the new 7 Princesses of Heart. The Princesses of Heart, or in the case of Kingdom Hearts 3, the new 7 Hearts, are maidens with hearts of pure light, devoid of darkness. For the new 7 Hearts, we only know of 4 members, so there are still a few missing. I think Zelda would make perfect sense here as one of the new 7 Hearts. I could even see new Kingdom Hearts lore being established to explain Midna being a Princess of Heart for the realm of Twilight. Which actually brings me to my final connection I've somehow completely forgotten to mention. They could very easily tie the Twilight realm of the Zelda universe with the realm of Twilight from Kingdom Hearts, making them one and the same. It's a fun way to tie the two universes together in a seamless way. In saying that, I would probably choose Xemnas to be the obvious choice for an organization member given his role as the villain in Kingdom Hearts 2 and his connection to the realm of In-Between/Twilight. It would only make sense to me if they did end up combining the two realms into one. As for the story of the world, I think it would make sense to have the gang join Link after having already retrieved the Master Sword and are collecting the pieces of the Mirror of Twilight. This would then allow for Ganondorf to be the world boss, combining his own powers with the powers of the Heartless. As for our reward for completion of the world, we have our Keyblade and our summon. The summon should be fairly clear, either an echo of Midna, allowing her to join the fight using some Kingdom Hearts "our hearts are always connected" mumbo jumbo, or Wolf Link. Of the two, I personally prefer Midna making an appearance, especially since Link was already a party member. The Keyblade would either be themed around Midna or the Master Sword. The Master Sword would be the obvious choice, and there is certainly no lack of fan designs out there for this. The most popular of these seems to be the Guardian of Hyrule, made by Bear Arms, featuring design elements from the Master Sword, the Hylian Shield, and the Hyrule Royal Family crest. Another angle to tackle this would be to focus the Keyblade on the Fused Shadow and the Twilight Realm. I came across this design by Arcus Zero, which was exactly along the lines I was thinking. I love the elements of the Fused Shadow being used for the handle guard. It's really up to you which of these Keyblade designs you'd prefer, or if there was another design I didn't even consider, then be sure to drop it in the comments. Overall, I think Twilight Princess would work excellently as a world for Kingdom Hearts, under the assumption that it is streamlined down. It holds a lot of potential to link plot points such as the Princesses of Heart and the Twilight Realm between both franchises seamlessly and would easily become a fan favourite world. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's move on to our next pitch taking place in another timeline and see how it fares. Moving on to our next pick, I've gone with The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Definitely a visual departure from Twilight Princess, Wind Waker follows our young hero Link as he sets out across the flooded land of Hyrule, accompanied by his beau, the King of Red Lions, to save his sister and save the world from Ganondorf. Similar to Twilight Princess, the story is split into two parts, pre and post Master Sword, and just like with Twilight Princess, I think joining the world pre-Master Sword would end with the world feeling unfulfilled. As such, I believe having the gang join Link after having obtained the Sword of Evil's Bane would serve to be much more enjoyable. The first half of the world would involve powering up the Master Sword, while the latter half would be the search quest for the Triforce pieces, finishing the world in a climactic fight against Ganondorf beneath the ocean. The downside of this world would be its similarity to the Caribbean world we got in Kingdom Hearts 3. As such, I believe the inclusion of a Wind Waker style world would most likely result in the removal of the Caribbean to prevent any repetition. However, the upside to doing this is that we can therefore borrow a lot of elements found in the Caribbean with no consequences, particularly the open world ship combat, the organization member, and the organization's goal for the world. Luxord is the only member that really makes sense for this world, given all the pirate themes. But if we really want to reach for a different member, then my next options would either be young Xehanort or Riku Replica. These may come out of left field for you, but they both share one key feature, their desire to leave the Destiny Islands and explore other worlds. While Riku Replica never actually visited the islands, he did hold the memories of the original Riku, and thus should hold his original goals. Having either of these members return to a world of islands and ocean could hold some interesting character dynamics with Sora. Though, as stated, I do believe Luxord to be the best candidate at the end of the day. For the organization's goals, we have two options we can go with. The first would be to simply use their original objective, the Black Box, to find if this world full of buried treasure housed the mysterious Black Box of legend. The second, and in my opinion more interesting idea, is the same as from our Twilight Princess pitch, to find the world's Princess of Heart, being none other than Zelda. Much like in the Wind Waker game itself, Tetra being revealed to be Zelda would now hold even more importance, as she shares significance in both the Zelda and Kingdom Hearts universes. Her reveal would likely attract the organization to assist Ganondorf, allowing him to keep the Triforce as long as they are able to retrieve Zelda. This would also give reason as to why Ganondorf's ranks would be bolstered by Heartless. As for our summon, my prediction would be either the King of Red Lions or Tetra and her pirate crew. The King of Red Lions would smash into enemies with his raft before transforming into his true form and using the Triforce to bring down a huge wave on enemies. Meanwhile, Tetra and her crew would utilize their ship, launching cannonballs at enemies in a volley of destruction. The Keyblade for this world could go in two directions, just like with Twilight Princess. The first would be basing it on the Master Sword, though notably it would be blue rather than purple to better match the depiction of the Master Sword in Wind Waker. I'd also modified the shield half of the guard to better match the hero's shield over the Hylian shield. The other option would be to base it off the unique elements of Wind Waker, notably the Wind Waker baton itself and the King of Red Lions. This design by Ty Twig on ArtStation shows off one potential way you could depict such a Keyblade. The Wind Waker definitely fits the mold of a Kingdom Hearts world extremely well, both visually and gameplay wise. The main downside of the world would be the likely removal of the Caribbean from Kingdom Hearts 3 due to their similarities.
You are done. Fired. Do not show your face at the laundry again.
Despite this, I believe the world would make for an exciting adventure on the high seas. But now that we've seen the possibilities of a bright, colourful world, what if we had a look at the possibility of a game with much darker themes? And so we move on to our final idea for today, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Arguably the darkest game in the entire Zelda franchise, we follow Link after the events of Ocarina of Time as he searches for his lost fairy companion, Navi. He is ambushed by the Skull Kid and has his equipment stolen, falling down a tree into a parallel dimension known as Termina. Here, the Skull Kid plans on destroying the world by crashing the moon into its surface in 3 days. Link, joined by a new fairy Tattle, utilizes the power of masks to gain new abilities along with traveling back in time with his ocarina to defeat Skull Kid and free the tormented people of the land. Unlike the other 2 pictures, Majora's Mask is a much smaller scope game and thus wouldn't need its plot to be shortened. The trio can jump right in alongside Link, assisting him to save the world. It would even be cool to see the moon from the perspective of the gummy ship, getting closer to the planet's surface. This is likely what would attract the trio down to the planet. The group would then assist Link on his journey, collecting masks and traversing the town until approaching the final showdown with Skull Kid, possessed by the spirit of Majora. Given Majora's weird and erratic movements in the game, I'd like to see if there was some type of connection to the dusks we see in Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3. Not sure if there is something there, but it would be a fun connection. The other fun aspect to see would be if Sora actually got to wear the different transformation masks of the main species from the Zelda world, those being the Deku, Zora, and Goron masks. Imagine Deku, Zora, and Goron forms of Sora. Maybe even a fierce deity Sora, wielding a dual helix style keyblade. Out of my 3 pictures for a Zelda game in Kingdom Hearts, this is by far the most unique and different. While it is possible the game would be a straightforward adventure with Sora assisting Link to save the world in 3 days, I think it would be far more interesting if we incorporated the time travel aspect into gameplay. If you aren't aware, in Majora's Mask, Link uses the Ocarina of Time to travel back to the start of the 3-day cycle, resetting NPCs, items, etc. Wouldn't it be interesting if this was brought over into the Kingdom Hearts equivalent world? This could even lead into our organization member visiting the world being young Xehanort. Known for his time travel abilities, young Xehanort would be here to investigate other means of time travel not known to the organization, in this case, Link's Ocarina of Time. This seems like a no-brainer choice to me. However, another potential character we could see appear I think would be Xigbar. Now this may seem out of nowhere, but hear me out. Xigbar, Braig, or Lushu is a man of many mysteries. He's never really telling anyone the whole truth, always hiding behind a metaphorical mask. And that's where I think he makes for an excellent candidate for this world. The masks he is constantly wearing to conceal his true motives. Majora's Mask, as the name suggests, features very prominently masks throughout the entire game, over 20 in fact. They are a core part of the game's themes and gameplay, perhaps even more than the time travel cycle. So wouldn't it be fitting for the organization member featured in this world to reflect that importance? It's up to you, but those would be my 2 organization member contenders for this particular world. Let me know which of the 2 you'd prefer, as I honestly can't decide between the 2. Setting this pitch apart from the first 2, we actually don't have the option for a Master Sword inspired Keyblade, since it doesn't make an appearance in the game. Instead, it only makes sense that the Keyblade would be inspired by Majora's Mask itself. I came across these 2 Keyblade designs by Neverending Dreams and Iron Clark, which both do the idea justice. I really like the carved out mask used as the guard in the second design, but I also love the moon coming down from the tip of the blade of the first one. And finally, we have the summon for this world. There are actually a few ideas that spring to mind here. The first was Sora could call on the healing powers of the companion fairies Tattle and Tail, healing Sora, regenerating MP, etc. But that felt a bit boring by itself and felt like we'd be stepping on Tinkerbell's shoes. What felt like more fun would be if Sora could call on the Skull Kid, using his magic to deal damage to enemies before calling on the moon to crash and deal huge damage. Would this make much sense? No, not at all. But if that idea was a bit too far-fetched for you, Skull Kid could still be the summon, just without the big moon crash at the end. Or you could just use the fairies as stated before. Both make sense. And that concludes World Pitch 3. Honestly, A bit of a sleeper pick in my opinion. I think it's really easy to default to one of the big Zelda favorites like Ocarina of Time when it comes to a topic like this, completely overlooking how a smaller, more intimate game like Majora's Mask would probably fit better for the scope of a Kingdom Hearts world. It works on multiple levels, from the characters, the gameplay, and the overall narrative. And so we reach the end of our journey. The 3 Zelda games I think would work best for a Kingdom Hearts world. The interconnected lore of Twilight Princess, the already proven formula of Wind Waker, or the faithful mechanics of Majora's Mask. While none of these were part of what I would personally call the big 3 of Zelda iconography, I do personally believe that they are the 3 best games from across the franchise to be compressed into a Kingdom Hearts world, given their characters, worlds, and narratives. Don't forget to check out the community poll and vote on which game you liked the most for a Kingdom Hearts world, and let me know in the comments what Zelda game you would like to see adapted into Kingdom Hearts. Was there an obvious choice I missed? And while you're at it, also let me know what other franchises you'd love to see explored in a Kingdom Hearts world. Who knows, maybe it'll be the basis for my next video. Don't forget to check out the Patreon to support this channel and get some exclusive goodies. Until next time, happy animating.